Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Outs here. It's Monday morning, and this morning I just wanted to do a little bit more in-depth reaction to the win by Canada yesterday over Spain. It's a huge historic win. It's a really big deal, and honestly, we need to put some more shine on it than just like wrapping up the stream at the end of it. So I'm going to be looking at the box score, talking a little bit more in depth about things that happen in the game and things that are coming up with FIBA World Cup. Also got your Raptors Instagram check and all that normal stuff. Plus, we had the finish of the round of the WNBA Fantasy League, and we have the final set for this week. So there's all kinds of different interesting things to talk about today. So let me start with the chat. Let's see what you guys are saying. Trevor J is first in. Of course, Commissioner Trevor J, Commissioner of Raptor Freak Fantasy Sports Leagues, here to say good morning, Raptors family. Dana, Canadian Dana is here saying good morning, everyone. Happy Labor Day. Yes, happy Labor Day. Long weekend for a lot of people, and that's fantastic. Good to have the end of the summer, get a little bit of time on a Monday to be able to have time off to do stuff. Fantastic stuff, Canadian Dana. Trevor's saying today is how you made your life to be and not listening to others, how your life should be. There you go. That's kind of a deep one right there, Trevor J, with the words of wisdom this morning. Your life is how you made it to be. And in some ways, not listening to people is how you made your life to be what it is. I think that's kind of interesting. You know, people get mentors and people that you listen to when you grow up to become a better person or to, be raised right. And sometimes you don't have good mentors in your life. You have bad mentors in your life, people that are trying to tell you how you should be, and they're absolutely horrible for you. They may be soul crushing people that really don't understand who you truly are, and you really do not need to listen to them. But it's tough when you're young and you're naive and you just want to trust people and you need leadership. You may take bad leadership from people that you probably shouldn't have listened to when you were younger. And I'm not even talking about those bad kids that you could have ran with in high school. I'm talking about people that are supposed to be good leaders to you, like teachers and parents and different people, but they're not, and they're bad influences towards you. And in some ways, that's part of the problem. So, Trevor, I appreciate what you're saying there. It's a very interesting one. He's also saying happy Labor Day to all Raptors family. Wherever you go, whatever you do, have fun and be safe out there. And let's go Team Canada. That's right. Go Team Canada, Trevor. Very, very proud of Canada. Listen, this was a really big deal. And it was crazy because we should have lost that game yesterday. We did so many things badly that we should have honestly lost that game. And it speaks a lot to our talent and our ability to come back and win games by how we did it yesterday. This is not a slouch. This is the current FIBA World Cup champion from the last time they did this tournament. This is the number one ranked FIBA team in the world that we were losing to for 25 minutes of the game. And we just came back at the end and snatched it from them at the very, very end of the game. That is not a slouch kind of thing. That's a big deal. And it's really weird what happened at World Cup yesterday, because pretty much every single thing that could go in the favor of Canada did yesterday. Every single thing. There were 5 America's teams playing yesterday, and all 4 of them lost. Only one won, and that was the Canada team. And because of that, they got their berth to the Olympics. Canada is officially going to Paris for next summer. We've got our spot, and we will be an Olympic team this coming up. They interviewed Kelly Olynyk after the game, and he was really emotional about it because, honestly, he's been around this team for quite a while, a decade. And him seeing that they're finally going back to the Olympics for the first time since 2000, it is a big deal. And he couldn't even name any of the guys before. He's saying, who do you think about when this happened, Kelly? And he's like, oh, there's so many. I don't even know who to mention. There's so many Canadian players that have been in the program that he's played alongside. And this is the addition that's going to get him to the Olympics finally. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. That really is. Now, some people, like some of the people in our chat yesterday, were talking about how they want to see an all NBA Canadian Olympic team. I disagree with this. I feel like in some ways you gotta reward the guys who've come this way. If there's going to be any changes to the Canadian team for the Olympics next year, I want it to be minimum. Maybe like 1 or 2 people switched out. Like if you switched in Jamal Murray for Philip Scrubb, I wouldn't be that upset. But if you started taking all of the FIBA players and non-NBA players off that team, I think that would kind of hurt the chemistry and what they're trying to do, in some ways. So Trey Haynes, Kyle Alexander, Melvin Ejim, these guys are kind of important for the makeup of Canada and what they're doing right now. And people that really love the NBA or believe that, isolation NBA stuff, y'all need to realize these guys are important parts of our team. And just like the other guys on the team that are NBA players, they deserve to go to the Olympics. They put in the work, they put in the time, they put in the effort leading up to these Olympics. So what? You're going to have these guys help carry us there? You're going to say, no, you're not in the NBA. You can't be on the team now at this point? No, that's messed up. You can't do that to Melvin Ejim. You can't do that to Trey Haynes like that. You can maybe do it to Phil Scrubb. But like I said, I'd like to get Murray on the team for next year and possibly Wiggins too. So if we can figure out those two spots, then that's fine. But switching them all out, it's a little too crazy. It's a little too, uprooting. And in some ways, it may make our team worse. You think it'll make our team better by having all NBA players, but go talk to Brandon Ingram right now. You'll find out. And we could have Shaedon Sharpe in one of those spots for Melvin Ejim instead, and he may not be totally happy with what his role is completely in some ways. So the younger crop of Canadians like Nebhard, Mathurin, Shaedon Sharpe, those guys will get their chance, and I'm sure they'll be integrated into the Canadian program. But right now, the cohort that is existing for FIBA Canada's basketball team needs to kind of stay who it is for the most part. If there's a little minor changes, or if we get an extended roster of more than 12 next summer, then yeah, sure, of course, bring in Jamal Murray, Andrew Wiggins. But otherwise, I don't want to see too much wholesale change, just because in some ways you can mess up your chemistry and mess up what was good about this team. Teams can be very delicate with their identity and how they work, and you can change it just by changing one player in and out very quickly. So I don't want to mess with it too much. There's good things happening with this Team Canada, and in some ways you don't want to mess with the balance, the natural balance of it. Does that make sense? But yeah, just a little aside on all that. Yeah, here we go. Fiercey Salsera's here. Happy Monday, fam. Go Team Canada. That's right, Fiercey. Yes, Fiercey. And just so y'all know, we will be playing Tuesday Trivia tomorrow. So yeah, Classic Jurassic Tuesday Trivia tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Raptors Trivia. So if you enjoy trivia, we will be doing that live tomorrow. So Fiercey, make sure you show up, because tomorrow, this is I've got some bugs flying today. You're up there near the top, and I want to see you do well, Fiercey. I'm kind of rooting for you. Dana's saying hi to Fiercey, and Trevor's saying we're going to prove all the doubters wrong when we win it all. Man, that was a wake-up call against Brazil on Friday. They realized like some of their failures, and if they don't play together, they're in trouble. And they did. They played a lot better together yesterday. And that was a big key to overcoming Spain, their experience and their tenacity as a team. So let's go look at the box score real quick from yesterday. All right. First of all, I'll give a lot of shine to Spain. They're a fantastic team coached by a fantastic coach. They've got some really talented, amazing players. They play really well as a team. Some of their young players in particular are very dangerous, and they're going to be something when they get older, like Santiago Aldama with his 20 points, 8 of 12, 4 for 7 from 3 yesterday. He was absolutely killing us, and he was worrying me. He hit that late 3 near the end in the clutch time, and it got them close, but we were smart with managing the clock and keep that margin up. And SGA making those free throws late were very huge, very, very huge. But Santi Aldama was probably the most dangerous player for Spain on the court yesterday. He was very, very annoying. And if it wasn't a three-pointer from the outside, it was him somehow breaking loose and just getting an easy dunk or some sort of layup near the basket. He was very frustrating. 8 of 12 shooting. Willie was their leading scorer, and he was annoying too. 25 points for Hernan Gomez-Guier, 7 of 13 from the field. They both shot scorching. And Willie also got to the line a lot. He was 11 of 12 at the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. Willie Hernan Gomez was definitely the best Spaniard yesterday and was leading that team. It's very, very interesting. And of course, I want to give a little note to Juan Nunez. He's an interesting up-and-coming young point guard, and Spain should be very happy. He comes along in the line of great Spanish point guards like Ricky Rubio, Jose Calderon, and this is the next one coming up, Juan Nunez. Very, very interesting player. A very physical player in Usman Garuba. He was very much being kind of a Spanish Draymond Green around the court yesterday. A lot of muscling around, a lot of fouling, a lot of him getting fouled, all kinds of stuff like that. And then, of course, the old head on the Spanish team, Rudy Fernandez, looking his age yesterday. He's looking very tired, looking kind of worn out, but still that leader. And we got to wonder how much longer this guy's going to be playing in international competition, Rudy Fernandez. They had the big name for Iran retire after 20 years, Hamdi. Well, we're going to see maybe a farewell tour for Rudy Fernandez at some point coming up, because he still is kind of like in the cohort with the Gasol brothers. And it's really kind of crazy he's still on the team in some ways. So Rudy, maybe near his swan song here. All right, let's go to the other side and look at our Team Canada. Fantastic stuff. My number one star of the game is Dylan Brooks. And we talked about it a lot after the stream yesterday with the watch along. A lot of it was the two sides of the ball, that on both sides of the ball, he was very impactful and very kind of like in some ways on the down low controlling. And I like that. There's some ways we need that dog, that swagger, that intensity that Dylan Brooks brings to the game when he steps on the court. That competitiveness, that, I don't care if you like me kind of mentality. And it was in full effect yesterday, and it was very beneficial. SGA said after the game that Dylan's been working really hard in the practices and the leading up to this point, and that he was really proud of seeing him get this shine and get to this point because he's put in the work, is what SGA said. So he's very, very proud of Dylan Brooks and what they did. And they were hilarious after the game. Him and RJ yelling Saga City in the interview after the game, representing Mississauga and putting them on the global stage. You go, Mississauga, getting your shine at FIBA World Cup from two of your native sons, RJ Barrett and Dylan Brooks. It's fantastic to see. But yeah, we can talk about why he was so good. In some ways, Dylan was in foul trouble very early in this game and kind of taken out of it early. But he's that special kind of player where he can make it. It's not going to sway him. It's not going to make him fearful on the court or tentative. If he's in foul trouble already, he's still going all out, and he has no fear. In fact, he was hitting people hard, even with foul trouble. And that was a big part of the intensity of our defense and him being a leader in that way. And then you add on the offensive side, him bombing really timely threes, really important threes at key times where we were kind of floundering and in trouble. Dylan was a huge, huge help and a big, big catalyst to the reason why Canada beat Spain yesterday. He really, really is. As Leo Roughton said in his Twitter yesterday, that, I've always believed in Dylan Brooks, and now I'm telling you see why. This is why I told you I wouldn't be unhappy to have him on my team, because you see it now with what he did with Team Canada yesterday. Leo Roughton's very proud of this Team Canada going further and farther as they go, and it is really making these old head Canada basketball people really happy and getting really, really emotional in some ways about seeing Canada's rise to prominence in FIBA basketball right now. Leo especially. Leo is really, really feeling it right there. So, Dylan, by far, 8 of 12 shooting. That's fantastic. That mirrors Santi on the other side. 3 of 3 from three-pointers. So he did not miss a three that he took. 22 points. Not only that, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. So he was active all over the place. A plus 13 net. With the score also. My second star is SGA, and some will say, well, you should make him the first star. But, we had our issues with him at times in the game. But overall, his stats look fantastic. 7 of 12 from the field, 30 points, 14 of 16 at the free throw line. This is amazing. In fact, this is the one place where SGA was successful in melding the NBA style into the FIBA game. Is they don't like putting people on the free throw line so much like that in FIBA, but he forced them to. He's so quick, and he's obviously getting fouled more often than even that, and they don't call it all the time. But the fact that he got 16 free throws in this game means he was working, he was aggressive, and he was getting in there and getting contact. And the refs had to give him those foul shots. So really, really good stuff by SGA. Of course, he was huge clutch, very, very much controlling things, had a big part in all the offense in the fourth quarter, whether he was either making the shots or assisting on them. 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals. Man, fantastic that he got 3 steals. His efficiency number was 36, and he was a +1 net. So he actually was only a +1 net. So in some ways, but he was so good in some ways too. And it's going to be fun to see this matchup on Wednesday morning against Luka, because it's going to really kind of be the two top players at FIBA World Cup versus each other, Luka Doncic versus SGA. And we've had a good matchup. I feel really confident about Canada going against Slovenia, partly because their team is not that good overall, and they really are very much centered around Luka. So hopefully our whole team effort and our overwhelming talent in a lot of places on Team Canada will help us overcome Slovenia, and we get to the next round, the semifinals. We're in the quarterfinals. We're one of the top 8 teams out of all 24 teams or 32 teams or whatever. I don't remember how many teams we had at the beginning of this thing. I'm pretty sure we had 32. Well, we're in the top 8, and that's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, really proud of SGA and the leadership and the poise that he showed. In some ways, he didn't panic, and in some ways, he guided them at the end. Much more successful than against Brazil. My third star of the game is Dwight Powell, and it's really because he's an unsung guy. This guy, when he's out there, he really holds it down and he guards the paint really well. He's not going to get a lot of stats and stuff, but the difference between Kelly Olynyk and Dwight Powell when they were out there on defense yesterday was stark. And it was sad. In some ways, it really looked like Kelly was too tired and too slow to play in an effective way to help Canada right now. He had the worst plus minus of anybody in the game last night. And Powell was a stark contrast when he was on the court. Our defensive ability was way higher. You know, Kelly even said it after the game in the interview. Like, I don't like the interviewer for saying this to him. He's like, you feel old right now? And Kelly said, yeah, I do feel old right now. And it wasn't just because he's one of the old guys on the team that's been around for a while. He feels old because he's feeling old. We figured it out. He's only 32, but in some ways it's scary when somebody loses a step a little bit or they look a little bit too slow to keep up with the pace of the game around him. And he was very, very good for the beginning of this FIBA World Cup. But in the last 2 games, Kelly Olynyk looked a step too slow. And it's really weird. But meanwhile, it's almost like Dwight Powell is absolutely essential for our defensive ability to be absolutely really good. And when he's on the court, good things happen. He was 3 of 5 with only 6 points and only 3 rebounds, but he had 2 blocks and a steal. And that's what I'm talking about. He's the defensive presence for Canada that's absolutely essential for them to be successful. In some ways, you know, he's more important to this team than some of these other big name guys, Dwight Powell. If you really understand basketball, you know what I'm talking about right now. That Powell, in some ways, is absolutely essential to our team. All right, I'm going to go and get some more. RJ Barrett's my 4th star. RJ had a great game on the down low yesterday. 16 points on 6 of 12 shooting, 2 of 6 from 3, but I'm glad to see him make a couple threes. 5 rebounds, 1 assist, and he had 4 turnovers, which is kind of a blight. But otherwise, 16 points and RJ contributing something better than a 1 of 10 shooting or something like that. This is good because we need him to start heating up. And this is kind of a middle game for him. If you ask me, he should be getting 20 to 30 points. And hopefully we'll see as this tournament gets near the end of it, he'll rise up in a crescendo of going up with his stats. And the 16-point performance yesterday is just the beginning of a rising trend in the points and the output for RJ Barrett continuing in this FIBA World Cup from the quarterfinals in the semifinals to the finals, hopefully. Yeah, I want to see RJ top the 16 on Wednesday morning and then top that number on the next game and so on. So, yeah, RJ, good game. Glad to see you finally show up and do some good stuff for Canada against Spain. We needed you, man. Thanks for being there. And then my 5th star, I'm going to go ahead and say that it is Nickel. Nickel didn't do a whole lot in 19 minutes coming out of the game, but he did hit a key 3-pointer late that was really important to help us with the score. He was 1 of 2 from the field, 5 points. He had 2 rebounds, 1 assist. And in some ways, Nickel was just steady in certain ways that I like. And there were other guys that were really not that good yesterday. You know, in some ways, Canada didn't look good as a whole. There were certain individual players that looked really good, like Dylan Brooks and SGA. But Lou Dort was dreadful in this one. I mean, 1 of 5. He had those 2 missed free throws late that really pissed me off. Really, really pissed me off. You go back and watch the watch along and see how I talked about it. And The one thing Dort did really well, though, is he filled up the stat sheet with 5 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal, and a block. But his offense was horrible. And in some ways, I can't forgive someone for missing 2 free throws in a row in a very close game like that. I really can't. Melvin Ejim got out there for 4 minutes. He only took 1 shot, but he was forced to because the shot clock was a 3-pointer. He only got 1 rebound and 2 fouls. So really a non-factor. Melvin Ejim. Kyle Alexander was great in the 4 minutes he was out there. I was so happy to see Jordy put Kyle back in the game yesterday. He only had 1 rebound, but that rebound was really important because there was a time where Spain was just getting tons and tons of second chance shots. We need to settle that down. In some ways, I want him to play Kyle Alexander as the backup center more. Like, you really need to get him out there. He's really, really good for our defense, like Powell. It's like if our best defensive bigs are probably Powell and then Alexander at this point, with Olynyk being slow at this point. So Kyle Alexander, don't be afraid to play him, Jordy Fernandez. That is a dude that needs to get out there and get more time because good things happen. Rebounds and defense happens when Kyle Alexander is on the court. So don't shy away from him. And he was somebody you didn't play against Brazil, and you paid for it. You paid for it. No time for Zach or Phil Scrubb in this game. That's fine. And then Trey Haynes only came in for like 2 minutes, and he took 1 3-pointer, which he missed. It was the one he heaved from the corner really quick, and it wasn't really like a clean shot. It was kind of like a shot he had to throw up just because of the end of the shot clock. But yeah, Canada doing way better shooting from their 33% against Brazil. They shot 49% overall, including 45% from 3. 11 of 24. So on the download, their 3-point shooting was absolutely excellent, actually. And that was people like Dylan Brooks and the SGA making a high percentage themselves. Yeah, and the free throw shooting wasn't bad either. They missed 4 free throws, 84% of free throws. And, of course, 2 of those were Dort's. SGA missed 2 himself. So they were the 2 guys that missed free throws. Overall, not a bad game. We did actually get out rebounded by 1 rebound by the other team. We got way better assists than we did against Brazil, although only 8 more. We had 18 assists. So that could have been better. And they had way more assists. So they were definitely sharing the ball much better than we were. And they got way more fouls called on them, which is interesting. And then we actually lost the turnover battle. They actually had 1 less turnover than us. So yeah, it was a very scrappy game. In some ways, you could look at this box score and look at what both sides did and the team stats and say, well, Canada lost this game. Because it really does look like we should have lost that game in a lot of different ways. So this is really kind of one of those weird basketball games where a team that should not have won, a team that was like very much destined to lose, rose up and kind of took it by luck. Not totally luck, but like, do you understand what I'm saying? It's kind of like they weren't supposed to win and somehow they found a way to win. It's kind of like one of those games. Sometimes there's box scores that I look at with the Raptors and I'm like, yeah, we won this game, but we really didn't deserve to win it because the stats are telling me that the other team did way better than us, actually, the way they played. And this is true of this game yesterday for Spain and Canada. They played a way better game than us, but somehow, some way, at the very end of the game, we rose up and snatched that victory from them. And that's very impressive to me because that's do or die. And that's really clutch. And when it really, really matters, they stepped up and they were successful. So great looking back at the back box score for yesterday. A historic game for Team Canada. Once again, kicking the door open and telling the world we're here. And we're ready to be a very top FIBA men's basketball team in the world stage. You know, we came into this tournament kicking the crap out of France. Now we kick the crap out of Spain. Those are 2 of the top 5 teams in the world. And we're making them look like chumps. Yeah, we're ready for the big time, baby. We can play anybody and beat them. You know, this Germany team has looked really, really good. In fact, they're still undefeated. There's 2 teams that are undefeated this whole entire tournament. That's Germany and Lithuania. Yeah, not the U.S., not Canada, not Spain, and not France, but Lithuania and Germany are the 2 teams that are 5-0. Absolutely perfect in this tournament. And well, let's see how this goes. Germany is in the side of the bracket with the U.S. So if they beat their teams, which is pretty likely because Italy and Latvia are not 2 of the better teams in the final 8, it's very likely USA will play Germany and Dennis Schroeder in the semifinals. That's going to be a fantastic game. In fact, I wouldn't put it past Germany coming to beat USA in that, and we may end up getting, if we're lucky enough to get the finals, getting Germany in the finals against us. It could be very fun. USA, Germany, who cares? But we have business to take care of, and it looks like the path will be Luka, and then probably Jonas Valanciunas, and the Lithuanians on Friday. And then the championship game this Sunday coming up. So the beats of the game are, if we're going to be successful and win the World Cup, Wednesday morning, Friday morning, Sunday morning. And the whole tournament will be done by next Sunday. So we're going to be done within this week. Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes. All right, let's see. Fiercely saying hi to Dana, and Fiercely saying it doesn't need to be all NBA players in our team for the Olympics. I agree with you. Team USA is under scrutiny as they have to perform given their roster. Yeah, it just, you got to kind of sometimes have end of the bench players that have no ego, that really are just happy to be there. And when you fill your whole team out with like premium guys that are used to being the man on their team in the NBA, yeah, somebody's going to be unhappy. You know, maybe back in the day, the dream team could get together and Chris Mullen and, Karl Malone and some of the guys near the end, like David Robinson, could be like, yeah, I'm just proud to be here and be a part of this history. They won't quibble and be upset about it. You know, one of the ways they did things then with Chuck Daly and Mike Krzyzewski when they were coaching the original Dream Team was they had different squads on different games. It's like some games, it was like Larry's game. Larry Bird would take over and he would just be the leading scorer. Some games it was Michael's game and Michael Jordan took over and just did everything. Sometimes they would do something weird and Chris Mullen would come in and he'd be the leading scorer all of a sudden. They were kind of taking turns. And in some ways, that was part of the reason why they were so overpowering. You know, they were doubling up their opponents. That Team USA was so crazy good at Barcelona. They were doubling up people. It would be like 150 to 70, the scores, and they had no mercy. Well, that's the thing. Like USA is not doing that anymore. It's like it very much is Anthony Edwards, number one option. And there's no switching of the number one option on any given night. It's not like Brandon Ingram's going to get like Steve Kerr to come up to him and say, hey, it's your night, Brandon. You go and take over tonight. No, they're not doing it that way. And that was one of the secrets to the Dream Team and keeping them all happy was that there were different games where different guys got to step up and be the leading scorer. And it's not that way with the current Team USA at all. You know, some of the failures of Team USA in years have been because of these issues. And that's part of the reason why maybe Canada saw it from the outside and they're saying, well, you know what? Let's have somebody like Melvin Ejim on the team. Let's have somebody like Trey Haynes that has no ego and in some ways is just very happy to be there, but they're also useful in certain ways for the team also. So this is something that a lot of people are going to keep saying. You know, I'm realizing there's certain fans that really fall for the flash and not no substance. They're falling for the sizzle and not the steak of things. And that's the scoring and the prestige and I'm a baller and all that kind of crap. Nah, give me a meat and potatoes. I'm going to go in there and fight you down underneath the basket like Dwight Powell any day over this flashy, pretty boy who scores all the time. Nah, basketball is won in the trenches. And that's why I have so much more respect for these guys that are busting their ass around the basket to get rebounds and fight off players from scoring near the basket. And today's fan is all about the dunk culture, all about the shit that doesn't win you games anymore. It's just about style, and there's no substance to some of the things that they enjoy. And I feel like that's part of the line of thinking that is saying, oh, we need all Canadian NBA players on Team Canada. Is that the people that really love sizzle, and they really don't understand what steak is, and steak wins you games. Is what I'm saying. Yeah, there you go, Fiercey. Thanks for your point. Yeah. Fun guys here. Good to see you. The big man out in Mississauga. Saga City, stand up. Fun guy, stand up, Saga City. That's right. Stand up. Fun guy saying, yeah, fuck that. Who said that shit? All NBA Canada team. That's disrespectful as fuck to the role players that helped us back in the Olympics. I know. Let's do all the work, get you to that spot, that cherry, prestigious thing, and say, yeah, we don't need you anymore, Melvin Ejim. Sorry, stay home. We're bringing in Shaden Sharp instead. Yeah, no, we can't do that to these guys. It's like no loyalty. It's like who would want to come play for them if they're going to shaft people like that? Seriously, you can't do that. Now, if they do something like this next summer, fun guy, where they have kind of like a pre-training camp and they invite like 15 players and they cut 3 of them from that may be a little bit better, because it's like, all right, you guys have made it. You've been part of making it here. But now Jamal and Andrew want to try and make the team. So you guys got to beat them in training camp to make the team finally. They could do that. And, the other thing that could be a factor in all this is injuries. God forbid we have any real serious injuries for any of our key Canadian players that are playing for us right now. But these things can happen during the NBA season. Next summer is a long time from now. And there could be injury replacements that need to be made. And in that way, it could be done in a subtle, classy way where you're not really doing something wrong to somebody, shafting them for working so hard to get us to this point. So in some ways, those injured players could still be on the team because they're on the roster. They're just an injured reserve. So they still would get the glory of it all because they were part of the whole process. But yeah, I agree with you guys. I'm glad y'all have this sense of right also, saying that it wouldn't be right for us to replace all the non-NBA players on Team Canada with NBA players just because we made the Olympics. Yeah. Fiercely saying, I'll show up. That's right. She'll show up. She wants to play. G saying Spain fans are very upset with the refs. I told them they play beautiful ball, but they cared more about fouling out players at the end than scoring. Canada kept their composure and deserved it. Jesus being a diplomat for world peace and going into the circles of the Spanish fans online in the last day or so. This is true. There's certain teams at FIBA World Cup that just play a beautiful game, bellissimo game. Some people are lauding Latvia in particular for their ball movement on Twitter the last 24 hours. And I can't disagree with them. I love seeing the passes. You go to the open man. Maybe NBA fans are a little bit starved for team ball because of the way the NBA is set up with the individual play at this point. That when we see it at FIBA and we see the really beautiful passing all over the place, we're like, wow, it can be the other way. And we kind of lust and yearn for it to be in the NBA more often. Honestly, if I saw more team game, more team passing, beautiful passing around, like some of these teams like Spain and Latvia in the NBA, I'd find the NBA to be even more enjoyable. Seriously, who doesn't love a surprise pass to somebody who all of a sudden they're under the basket and there's nobody around them and they can just lay it up? Who doesn't love plays and sets where 5 guys touch the ball and one of them gets wide open at the end of it and gets an easy shot? Yeah, if you love basketball, this is seriously what you should love, not the sizzle stuff. That's steak we're talking about once again. The difference between sizzle and steak. Sizzle is the dunks. Sizzle is, I love Kobe because he was so good individually. And steak is, I love teams that play together and pass the ball around together. I'm glad that you were very complimentary towards Spain, and we should be. There's very much a team that should be respected. I would never put kind of slanderous things on their name. I love their coach. I love their team in a lot of ways. And there's immense respect for Team Spain from this Canada fan right here. And I'm glad you went and talked to them. Of course, they're going to make excuses. They're going to be upset. This went against what they expected would happen. Well, it's just we're the New World Order, baby. We're the NWO. It's like SGA just showed up. He's Hulk Hogan, and he's got Dylan Brooks as Scott Hall, and Dwight Powell is Kevin Nash or something. Or no, he's the Giant, and we'll make Olenek Kevin Nash. Yeah, we're the New World Order, baby. We just came in and shook things up. Y'all were the old world order. Y'all were the old way of things. We're the new brand. We're the new flavor. And we're the new part of FIBA that everybody's got to watch out for. Team Canada. That's right. So let them be upset. We shook up the status quo. And when you do that, the old heads, the old guard, the people that were on top, they get upset because they're not on top anymore. And there you go. Canada's there. Yeah, there you go. Gee, thanks for being a diplomat and going and checking on our Spanish friends after the game yesterday. And thank you for giving them compliments. That's the right way to do it. That's the right way to do it. Seymour Pape is saying, boom, boom, boom. Spain goes down. Good win, Team Canada. It's as if right now anything is possible. Anything. He said anything. Does that have anything to do with Henny? Yeah, anything is possible. And I agree with you. We can't get too big for our britches. In some ways, we're very happy and celebrating, but in some ways, that's a downfall. We're not done. This FIBA World Cup continues, and I'm glad that the coach, Jordi Fernandez, and the players very much echoed what I'm saying right now. It's like, look, we're very proud to make the Olympics. Very, very happy to do historic things, but we're not done. This is just the beginning. There's still some more games to happen here. There's at least 3 more games for Canada, and we need to make these winning games where we win right out and win the FIBA World Cup. You want to bash down that door and come in and be the new kid on the block? Well, put that door off the hinges, blast it right off the door frame is what I'm saying right now. And winning the FIBA World Cup and getting the gold medal is going to be a big, big signifier of doing that if we can get all the way through there. And once again, big threats in USA, big threats in Germany, big threats in Lithuania, big threats in Slovenia. Yeah, take them as they come. First, Mr. Doncic, Wednesday morning, 9:30. We got a date with you, Luka. Yeah, let's see if you've got that Luka magic against Team Canada magic, baby. Yes, bring him on, Sheriff Seymour Pape. Boom, boom, boom. Down goes Frazier. Yes, Seymour saying, long live Bray Wyatt. Yeah, okay, so that was an allusion to Bray Wyatt. You know, I didn't watch current wrestling. I saw Bray Wyatt wrestle once live in person. I was dating a psychopath. She was crazy. She really, really loved Bray Wyatt. And when we went to the wrestling match, she's like, oh, I love their whole motif. They're so creepy. What is that lantern? Ooh, and then I think she started trying to live like him after that. Well, let's just say our relationship went downhill after that pretty good because she was trying to emulate Bray Wyatt in her life. It's like, I don't want to date Bray Wyatt. You're creepy. You're creeping me out. Oh, I'm creeping you out. I was like, listen. I should have never took you to a WWE event. I obviously should have never done that. There's my Bray Wyatt story for you, Seymour. My girlfriend turned into a Bray Wyatt fan, and she tried to emulate him afterwards. I was like, really? You want to be like Bray Wyatt? Yeah, I love his big rabbit friend, is what she was saying. It's like, yeah, very creepy. Stillman's here. Good to see Stillman. Always good to see Raptor Freak member. Great Raptor Freak, Stillman 65. Always good to see you. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. It sure seemed like the refs were playing catch up with trying to even out calls throughout the game. I may be wrong, but it was kind of weird to watch. All right, this is a great topic, Robert. Thanks for bringing this up. This is what I gleaned from Twitter yesterday about the referees, the FIBA referees yesterday. Josh Lewenberg in particular, or no, was it Eric Smith? It was either Josh Lewenberg or Eric Smith. I'll give both of them credit. How about that? Saying that they talked to some FIBA officials after the game and about the officiating. And some of the insiders of FIBA said this, basically, that the officials at FIBA were worried about angering Spain. And the whole reason why is because Spain hosts a lot of FIBA basketball tournaments. And some of these FIBA officials count on getting invited to them to work to make money. So some of the officials for the game yesterday were worried about angering the Spanish program, partly because they want to be invited to referee tournaments, FIBA tournaments in Spain. So that was one of the reasonings given by an insider to either Eric Smith or Josh Lewenberg yesterday about why the FIBA refereeing was so weird in the Spanish game is because they worry about this issue to a degree. Now, I think you're exactly right, Stillman. It was a tale of two halves. The first half, they were very anti-Canada. They were very much shafting us left and right. I mean, that one play where there was a lane violation off the three-pointer that they made that turned into almost a 6-point play was absolutely nuts. Seriously crazy. I've never seen them just give free points to Spain or a team like that ever in basketball. I've never seen a 6-point play. That was absolutely nuts that they give them 3 free throws and they had made a three-pointer. That's a huge swing in a game that's not as high scoring as an NBA game. So, yeah, there was a lot of funny stuff in the first half. And I also speculated in the watch-along yesterday that the FIBA officials watching over the game and watching the officials in the game were probably like, y'all are being a little too hard on Canada, and it's too apparent. So there is a balance to things. You know, makeup calls happen from game play to play. When you go down one court and they make a bad call and there's no foul, but then the other end, they'll make it up and try and help out the team that they did wrong. So I really do think there was a makeup half in the second half to help Canada, especially the beginning of the third quarter. There were a lot of fouls called on Spain at that time that really frustrated them. We were playing exceptional defense, and Spain had a huge hard time scoring in the first half of the third quarter after halftime yesterday. It was a huge reason why we ate up that 10-point lead they had at half. And the refs were definitely giving us favor there. So, yeah, you're not crazy to feel the awareness of the difference in how the calls were between the halves yesterday for Spain and Canada. You're exactly dead on. And yeah, there is an evening out. This happens in the NBA too. We know this. And there was definitely that was happening yesterday. Very astute of you, Stillman. Very astute. Yeah, it was weird to watch. But in the end, listen, we could say it was fair because they didn't just outright win. It's not like the game was railroaded one way or another to one team to win. Spain had their opportunities to stop us and try and beat us. And we had our opportunities to fail and lose. And it was very fair up and up kind of referee game, even if it was ugly and specific actions were not totally fair. I think the cumulative effect of how they refereed the game was fair overall. Spanish fans are complaining, and we were complaining about the first half. So I always say this, if both sides are complaining about the refs, then it was even. That's what I always say. If both sides have gripes about how the refs did, then that's really good refereeing, is what I'll say right there. Yeah. G saying would absolutely welcome Bill and Dylan to the Raptors. There you go. G's bought on this. I know we did a poll earlier this summer when the Memphis Grizzlies said Dylan they're under no circumstances whatsoever. If you married the owner's daughter, you cannot play for the Memphis Grizzlies ever again, Dylan. You have to go. That's when we put a poll up and asked Raptors Nation, would you want Dylan Brooks to play for the Raptors? And we were pretty split, 50-50. Some of us were like, we don't want the headache. And some of us were like, yeah, we know the intangibles he brings that are actually really good for a team besides the distractions. And in some cases, that is what we saw yesterday. The intangibles that he brings besides the distractions can be very fruitful. And you know what, G, I'm not against you with this either. In some ways, we got guys that can do what he does better. In some ways, they won't have the exact edge or swagger or attitude. But in some ways, we have better offensive players that can hopefully have that kind of swagger and attitude. I don't know. If Scotty started acting more like Dylan Brooks all of a sudden, would you be upset? I don't know. In some ways, he could be a very interesting villain. You know, we got one of Dylan's best friends on our team. He very much wants to embrace the villain role more and more as he gets older in his NBA career. Mr. Chris Boucher, the Slim Duck. And speaking of him, he on Instagram thanked or appreciated Team Canada's win yesterday. He put it on blast on his Instagram stories. Chris Boucher posting the Olympic berth for Team Canada yesterday, even though if it hurts him personally, because he feels like he maybe should be playing for that team or he wants to, he's still celebrating his friend Dylan Brooks and the rest of Team Canada for getting this accomplishment yesterday. He's not being a hater. He's very much being supportive of Team Canada, and he's proud of them. And I'm really happy to see that from Chris. It shows a real maturity and surely a great perspective. You know, that kind of stuff, maybe Rowan Barrett will see it. He's like, man, maybe we should put Chris on Team Canada at some point. I don't know. In some ways, he's aging out. You know, it's better to get these guys when they're younger and get a whole time with them. And Chris being almost 30 already, it's kind of too late to get him integrated into Team Canada. Maybe they could have him one last hurrah, just let him run on one cycle. That would be nice because in some ways we want to see this guy get this on his resume. We really, really do. Come on, Rowan Barrett Sr. Please be nice to Chris and let him come and play on Team Canada. That would be awesome. Yeah. Evelyn's here. Good to see Granny Evelyn. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. Good vibes starts today. Awesome Monday. More wins, Canada. Go, go. Yeah, go, go, go. That's right, Granny Evelyn. Always happy to see Granny Swag in the chat. And yeah, good vibes, really strong good vibes around Canada right now. In some ways, people are questioning whether the Canadians are even aware of what is happening right now because these games are so early in the morning. Rogers has buried this stuff from the eyes of the average Canadian. If you are aware of what Team Canada basketball team is doing right now, thank you, and go deeper with it. You know, we need to wake the populace up and get them rallied crazy for this. This is a big deal. And the fact that Canada media outlets is not putting this more on shine or putting this out there is very much a symptom of the war on basketball for hockey. And I'm sick of this shit. We've got one of the best teams in the world in basketball. Y'all need to be happy and proud and celebrate these guys. If you don't know that Team Canada is in the quarterfinals of the FIBA World Cup 2023, get out from under your rock and come support this team and get with us as far as getting behind them and supporting them loud and strong. That's what I'm saying right now. It's a damn shame. If you are ignorant to what is happening right now, wake up and inform these people, media, and come out from under your rock, people and celebrate Canada's success. That's right. Fiercely say it's so interesting. Same way we thought refs were biased. I read Spain fans say the same and even alluded the female ref was in our favor as she's from Americas. This is common stuff in sports. Teams lose, they want to blame the refs. I do that all the time on this channel with the ref report and the Raptors. Yeah, I blame Ed Malloy straight up for losses for the Raptors. We'll do this as sports fans, and they're dealing with grief, and they want to blame someone. In some ways, they can't blame their team because they did play really well, and they should have won. In some ways, I understand why they want to blame the refs, but in some ways, they shouldn't because it is pretty fair down the line, but they're going to do this and let them. It is what it is. At least we're not the ones blaming the refs today for us losing. Because in some ways, it started to set up for that from the beginning of the game. That very much everybody was like, these refs, oh my gosh, they are bad. And if we had lost, we probably would have sounded like the Spanish fans right now. So it's just the other side of the coin. Jenna Runeau, you're my friend. I like you, Jenna. You've had a lot of our FIBA Team Canada games. Well, part of it is because they were all the games in Jakarta. And the team has gotten on a plane and flown to Manila. They are now over in the Philippines for the next part of the tournament. Today is a rest day for the whole entire World Cup. There are no games scheduled at all. It's a travel day to get all the teams from Japan and from Jakarta, Indonesia, where the Team Canada was playing. And they're going to come and consolidate in Manila. And they'll all be in Philippines. So Team Canada is traveling yesterday after their game to come to Manila. And they're now in another country for the rest of their games. So that may be a little bit of a change too, because they had to do a little travel, and some teams got to just stay where they were because they're just playing in the same arenas they were already playing in. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be very, very fun to see the next stage. It's going to be awesome. Let's see. I'm a fun guy saying, I told y'all I would have taken Dillon Brooks on the Raptors. Laugh out loud. People think he's trash, but he's decent, man. I feel he would have been better next to Van Vliet than Trent, but Van Vliet gone anyway. Well, he is next to Van Vliet. That's the funny thing, fun guy. Dillon Brooks is a rocket as much as Fred Van Vliet is a rocket also. So he's going to be next to Van Vliet this season. And you know what? They look real good next to each other with their shooting percentage. I'll say that, fun guy. If there's one reason why I don't want Dillon Brooks on this team, it's his shooting. I'm going to tell you that right now. As much as he can be on like he was yesterday, he's more often going to be off. He's going to disappoint you. In some ways, his intangibles, his tenacity, his defense, his attitude, his swagger are the most impressive things about him. It's not necessarily his offense. And if you depend on him for offense in any kind of ways, night in, night out, you're going to be in trouble. So it's kind of like when his offense is there, it's just an added bonus to help you put over your top. But you can't count on him to make these shots. And in some ways, the defense is the most steady, like for sure thing with Dillon. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to lust for a player that's not on our team. So if he was on our team, I'd welcome him. But I don't care if he's not on our team or not. In some ways, he may be more headache in the NBA than he is in FIBA. And, we'll see how things go in Houston this year with Fred and Dillon playing next to each other as two of the most inefficient shooters in the whole entire league, like literally top 5 most inefficient shooters in the whole entire league. Fred Van Vliet and Dillon Brooks are on that list. So, yeah, he does look better next to Fred because they both miss about the same. Gary shoots better than them. Trevor's saying, I put a list of all the games and times. It will be all on Sportsnet. Yeah, Sportsnet is the contract for FIBA World Cup. So every single one of these games is on Sportsnet. So unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know how. It depends on how you want to look at it. Monique is here. Good to see the super fan. Monique Lawrence, the greatest. Good morning, everyone. 3 stars of the game for Monique are Dillon Brooks, RJ, Jordy, and SGA. Bonus, Jordy. You want to put Jordy in there just because he coached it well. I won't disagree with you. In some ways, the fieriness, the intensity of Jordy Fernandez has been very helpful in this FIBA World Cup. He's very much taken people and holding them accountable. He's very on them, right in the middle of the game. He's very much like, this is do or die. You wanted this or not. And he's basically on their asses. And I love it. That's the best way to be. In some ways, I'm really, really refreshed with the coaching strategies and the way that he carries himself in contrast to Nick Nurse. In some ways, we got to remember Jordy Fernandez has been the coach of Team Canada for 2 months, y'all. And that in itself is a crazy accomplishment that this man just took over the reins of this team 2 months ago, and they got them going in FIBA World Cup like this. Yeah, that's impressive. Seriously. Dick Nurse left us in a lurch real quick this summer. And yeah, we had to scramble. Well, we scrambled real nice getting Jordi Fernandez to run this team. And look what he can do in 2 months. 2 months. That's how long he's been the coach of Team Canada. 2 months, y'all. That's crazy to me. Seymour saying even Jonas and the Lithuanians knew Reeves is overrated. This is an interesting point that Seymour's brought up. Lithuania beating USA yesterday. Some people are saying, oh, it's because USA didn't use their starters. Bullshit. Every single person on that Team USA is a starter in the NBA. They better be starters in FIBA too. So I don't care if you put in your bench. That's not an excuse for why you lost to Lithuania. You just lost to them. So USA can't do what we do with Team Canada. We can put in Ejim and Scrub and Bell Haynes and say, yeah, that's the end of our bench. Of course, we're going to lose to Dominican Republic. No, they can't do that because their end of the bench is absolutely badass too. So you can't say you lost because you put your bench in USA, you idiots. You can't. You lost because Lithuania played the team FIBA game and they bullied you, y'all. To be honest, that's exactly what they did. They used their size and strength against USA and kicked their ass. And in particular, they targeted Austin Reeves for his defensive liabilities and went right at him and were hugely successful. All the hype about Austin Reeves in this FIBA World Cup has been offensively. Once again, we're talking about sizzle and not steak. The sizzle of Austin Reeves, you go ahead and buy into it, Lakers fans. You go ahead and buy into it, general NBA, golden boy, anointing people. Yeah, but the steak is the defense. The steak is the important stuff about basketball in some ways. And Austin Reeves lacks in that department. So you go ahead and buy into that sizzle. You go ahead. Lithuania exposed that young man. And y'all just want him to be the flavor of the month that everybody, woo, Austin Reeves. I love seeing that Lithuanian player troll him, doing the Dylan Brooks to him behind his back. In some ways, this is what they asked him. Why did you do that to Austin Reeves? Stick your tongue out at him like that. We said, I'm friends with his brother, Spencer Reeves. I played with him in Europe, and he told me to do that to Austin. The Lithuanian player said that after the game. He said, his brother told me to troll him like that. So that's why he did it. So Americans getting all bent out of shape because the Lithuanian player stuck his tongue out at your golden boy, Austin Reeves. That's the true story. Austin Reeves' brother told him to bully him. Bully my brother when you play him. All right, I will, Austin. You're my good American friend. I will bully your little brother. All right, thank you. Yeah. Spencer Reeves or whatever. So that's the story with that. And then also, one of the Lithuanian players stole an American hat and was wearing it in the locker room afterwards, wearing a little America hat. Those guys are funny. Man, Team Lithuania has always been one of my favorite international basketball teams. I was very honored and lucky to go to the Atlanta Olympics in 1996 and see Team Lithuania play China in the Olympics, in the 96 Olympics. So they always have had a special place in my heart. Now, if we play Lithuania and Jonas on Friday, that's going to be a battle that I'm going to really enjoy. But that's the thing. They're big. And that's when we're going to need Kelly and Dwight to really show up big if we're going to have to play Lithuania on Friday. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We still got Luka before that. But, yeah, good job, Lithuania. And another thing about Lithuania beating U.S. yesterday is they've done this many times in the past. Like they love getting up to go against USA. They do not fear the United States. Back in the day when the U.S. was bringing dream teams in, Lithuania would do the best against them for the longest time. Arvydas Sabonis, the father of Domantas Sabonis, was very active on Team Lithuania back in the day, and he was absolutely dominant in certain ways. So, yeah, Lithuania has always been a big bad boy on the block, and nothing's changed. They still got that status, and they showed it yesterday, throwing their weight around, big and bad, and taking down USA. That's right. You can act like, in some ways, I couldn't put this past Steve Kerr and Eric Spoelstra, looked at how the matchups would be in the quarterfinals, and they engineered and orchestrated their landing spot to be able to play Italy. In some ways, they wanted that matchup. So in some ways, maybe they ducked and dived a little bit in that game on purpose. We know that these NBA coaches sometimes duck games just to get a better seeding in the playoffs. They've done this kind of stuff. Steve Kerr in particular is guilty of doing weird stuff like losing on purpose with the Warriors for certain reasons. So that could smack up part of the reason why they lost yesterday. Is the coaches intentionally kind of wanted to lose on the down low to help their seeding for the quarterfinals. So, yeah, very, very interesting stuff. Thanks for bringing that up, Seymour. I love talking about the USA-Lithuania game yesterday. Fantastic stuff. G saying SGA had 16 free throws, but 4 were from techs and 6 from intentional fouls at the end. In reality, it was around 6 in the game. Vili had 12, so not sure what they are complaining about with SGA. This is really good points. Extremely good points. Once again, G, one of the most intelligent Raptor freaks, just bringing this up. This is exactly right. He was the designated tech shooter, and Sergio got a tech. Rudy got a tech. So there were quite a few techs. And then, like he said, they were intentionally fouling him at the end of the game, and that is where he got some of his free throws too. Willie was really getting to the line just as much as him, if not more, when you take this into account. Great point, G, and you're exactly right. So if this is an argument for the Spanish fans that are upset about fouls going to SGA too much, well, your reasoning is, well, you guys were trying to foul him at the time because you were trying to stop the clock. And that's on your own doing. So don't even get mad at us for those fouls. And y'all were getting the technicals yourself. Sergio didn't have to have a cow. Seriously, that man had a cow a couple times yesterday. Sergio was hilarious. And, I wanted to watch not Sergio, but I want to watch Nameless watching Sergio yesterday. I think that there would have been entertainment in watching Nameless just like do a commentary about Sergio's antics during the game because of how he feels about Scariolo and what he said about him this whole summer. It'd be funny just to hear like a him with me and somehow piped in during the watch along yesterday. And Nameless just has his little Sergio comments here and there. I know who's going to come back and watch this later, and he's going to probably comment about what I just said. And he may even give us his viewpoint about the fiery Sergio Scariolo yesterday. Hilarious stuff. G's also saying Powell got emotional. Him and Kelly have been loyal and faithful to the Canadian program for years. They deserve their flowers. Yeah. That in some ways you can't like not feel inspired and great for Kelly Olynyk and Dwight Powell. The pretty much blood, sweat, and tears is what we're talking about. The hits to the face that Dwight Powell takes from other teams, big men, the physicality that he absorbs. He literally is a punching bag. And in some ways, he wants something to get somewhere with this. You know, trying to get there's just a little bit of margin error where Canada would fail and we were out in years past. Well, we've gotten over that hump now. And the reward of this for guys like Olynyk and Powell is just amazing gift because it really does. It's like every single time I got an elbow to the nose, every single time some guy undercut me and I fell on my ass. You know, it really is that kind of stuff for those two guys in particular. It's amazing. You're right, G. Major, major flowers to Dwight Powell, Kelly Olynyk, Kyle Alexander, and Melvin Ejim, like the big men of the Canada team. These guys really have put in the years and time for sure. Fun guy saying, hey, bro, not sure how Olympics work, but does it have to be same roster next summer or can like Boucher and other Canadians join the team for the Olympics? I'm not totally sure what the rules are exactly, fun guys. So don't take me for like gospel. I was speculating earlier, like we said, if there's injuries or needs to be injury replacements, Canada should be able to replace whoever coming in and out. Now, I don't want to do wholesale like changes. We were talking about this earlier too. It's like these guys, the guys have gotten us here. They deserve to get the reward of going there. And if you're cutting a bunch of these guys just because they're not in the NBA to put NBA guys on there, I don't agree with that. These guys deserve to go there if they got there. Trey Haynes, Melvin Ejim, Phil Scrub, even to a degree. So, yeah, it can be some sort of switchover, and it could be dependent on who's available with their injuries. You say, God forbid, any of our guys who are playing for Team Canada right now get injured during the NBA season and they're not available for next summer, or say one of the NBA guys wins the championship and they go on a deep run. But they probably were like, I can't miss this. I'm going to go play in the Olympics, even if I'm absolutely dead tired from playing all the way into June on the NBA. You know, it's going to be that kind of like weighing of things. And there is some wiggle room. I'm going to predict this right now that for the Olympic team next summer, we're going to have at least 2 new guys that aren't on the team currently right now that will suit up and play for us in the Olympics. And you know what those two names are. I'm going to say it right now because they're both still technically in the program and they're not like excluded from this. And they're part of this 4-year window to build up to the Olympics. They just have not been present for World Cup right now. But one of them was at OVO early this summer, Jamal Murray. So unless Denver repeats and he's absolutely tired or he's hurt, I could see Jamal Murray suiting up for Canada at the Olympics next year for sure. And then Wiggins, that's the other one. Wiggins has not been banned from this team or told he's could not be here. In fact, he's gotten excuses for not being there, and he is actually still in the roster in some ways. So I can see Andrew Wiggins showing up next year all of a sudden and being a part of this team possibly too. Those two names in particular are more likely than Boucher or Trey Lyles or any of those other young Canadian guys like Shaden Sharp. I would say the likeliness of Jamal Murray playing for us for Olympics is very high. And then Andrew Wiggins may be the second highest chance out of them. So there you go. There's your answer, fun guy. But no, I don't expect Boucher to show up and be on the team, unfortunately. Country Kong said, good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lex, I have so many opinions on FIBA. As a person of color myself, I can say Germany's coach was way out of line. He tried to treat Dennis like a kid when he's the star of their team. I'm glad you brought this up, Country Kong. There's a little bit of an ugly incident in the Germany game yesterday. And I've really kind of went over it and figured out what exactly happened there. So it's a little bit not as bad as you think, but it is still optically looks really, really bad. Basically, in their game yesterday, Germany got off to a bad start and they were down early and they were a little bit panicking. And in the timeout, Daniel Tice, was arguing with Dennis Schroeder. They were very much going at each other, fighting, like yelling at each other. And what Dennis said after the game is that him and Tice have known each other since they were like 12 or 13. They've been playing around the German team together for a long, long time. And in some ways, this is the way he motivates Daniel, is he gets in his face and he yells at him. So they were not happy with each other, Daniel Tice and Dennis Schroeder at that time. And they were very much in a battle with each other. That's not what the clip is showing. Before the clip shows, that's actually what happened. Dennis and Daniel are fighting, but they are friends. And this is part of the way they get involved with each other to get each other amped up. Apparently, like Dennis said, everything I said to Daniel may have been hard for him to hear, but this is the way we do this. And we've had this relationship for like 15 years. So it's like they were doing something. And it could be Herbert, the coach of Germany, who's Canadian, he's from BC, may have misinterpreted that energy as being too amped up, but he was wrong for grabbing Dennis physically and telling him to sit down. Basically said, you come here and you sit down. He tried to force him to sit down. And Dennis was like, no, he pulled his hands up and knocked his hands away from him. He said, you don't touch me like that. You do that again, we're going to have a big problem, is what he said. And yeah, I know this from listening to Dennis talk about Maxi Kleber this summer. He has a lot of clout around the German national team. Like he is really their captain. And in some ways, he's above the coach. So I could easily see after this cycle, if they're not successful and they don't win, he could probably make a case to the German officials to fire Herbert as the coach of Germany. I don't think he likes him much. I think that it really pissed him off that he touched him that way. And I could see why. In some ways, the optics of it as a person of color, as you said, Country Kong, yourself, and Dennis being the little black guy with the big white German guy fighting, and Herbert's grabbing Dennis, it could very well be he doesn't think he can grab Daniel because Daniel's so big, and also where they were in positioning. I'm not trying to excuse Gordon Herbert, but I'm trying to illustrate the whole picture a little bit better so that people are informed of why it happened. It looked really bad. Dennis did the right thing, and that dude better listen because Dennis can probably get him fired. Now, the crazy thing is they're undefeated, and they're absolutely killing it. But that was one of those little threads that you look for in teams where pull that apart and it unravels. So Dennis and his coach get into it again before the end of this tournament. It could be ugly. And I think Gordon's smart. He's probably like, yeah, I just fucked up. I'm not going to make that same mistake again because I know Dennis can get me fired. So he's not going to put his hands on Dennis ever again. Trust me. I'm sure that message was very clear to him at that moment. Maybe it was a lapse of judgment in that particular moment because he saw something he thought was a problem, but he didn't understand that in some ways Dennis knows that team better than he does because he's probably been around it longer. And him and Tice's relationship goes a long time back. And that's just how they work things out and amp each other up to do better on the court. But Herbert didn't know that. He didn't know that. So I hope that illustrated a little bit better what happened in that situation with Dennis Schroeder yesterday. Yeah, he wasn't having it. I love him standing up for himself too. And he did it in the right way. He did it in a respectful way. He says, "You don't touch me like that. Don't ever do that again." Very much establishing a boundary and standing up for himself and not overdoing it. He said it very calmly, and he wasn't like angry or like aggressive coming back at him. He just said it very calmly. Matter of fact, just don't fuck with me, man. That's what he said. He's like, holy crap. And to me, it was so shocking because the chemistry and stuff that's happening with Team Germany is so high level and so good. And they're doing this without Franz Wagner, which is absolutely crazy to me. Because this is the thing. I'm seeing highlights of him, clips of him working out this morning, getting ready to play again. So Franz is about to return, and that's only going to make them even better. Honestly, Franz Wagner is their best offensive player, and they've been doing amazing without him. They're just going to get even better. So in some ways, the failure of Germany may be dependent on the coach pissing Dennis off, and then they're having a kerfuffle because of that. So I don't know. This is crazy. Like Dennis definitely doesn't like his coach. And this is going to be weird to see how this all goes from here. But Country Kong, thanks for bringing up this subject. I wanted to touch on this more. Yeah, the optics of it didn't look good. And you know what? Hey, Barrett, keep your hands to yourself is what I'm going to say right now. I love that Dennis was so matter of fact. In some ways, we saw how his leadership is. That's good. Like the way he was cussing out Daniel may piss off some of our young Raptors this year. But in some ways, it may be exactly what they need to hear to get their asses in gear, to not repeat a year like last year, this year. You know, Dennis's fieriness is going to be a flame that can burn some and be very healing for others. So hopefully we can make him a positive force on the Raptors in leadership. And in some ways, I don't care if he lights a fire under people's ass or yells at them like he did Daniel yesterday. He has a right. He has a proven track record of success, and he's a damn good point guard and leader. If there's any young Raptors that are going to have a problem with Dennis Schroeder being his fiery self, I might have more of a problem with them because he's the right one. He's the guy with the right attitude and the right way he's conducting himself. So it would be an interesting year. Dennis is a very interesting dude. I love Dennis Schroeder a lot right now. He's really, really good. Fiercely saying, let's see. Speaking of Germany, have you seen how the German coach treated Dennis at the huddle because he was quickly chatting with Tice? Yeah, I just talked about that. Hopefully what I said suffices to your comment. Mo's saying last time Canada made the Olympics, Steve Nash was a part of the team. Gee, that is crazy. 2000 was the year. They were talking to Kelly Olynyk in the interview after the game. Well, you were a kid and you watched it at your Aunt Janice's house. The Olympics before was Steve Nash and Rowett Barrett Sr. on that Olympic team the last time Canada went to the Olympics. You know, I keep wanting to say Canada's Olympic team. Now I can. The last few years with their team, I was like, I can't call them an Olympic team because they're not actually gone to the Olympics recently. So now we can say the Canadian Olympic men's basketball team. That is a real thing now. And that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. G's saying Dennis and Tease had a heated conversation, but they have been friends since they were 14. It was healthy team stuff. I think Dennis is going to be a very vocal player for us. I think so too. In some ways, I'm sure it'll be measured. In some ways, he doesn't want to rock the boat completely. You know, in some ways, Dennis has been in environments with egos and trying to shuffle them around and make things healthy and positive in recent years. The Lakers is a huge example. Being able to exist in LeBron's ecosystem and be successful and be able to balance like your role with a very big superstar like LeBron, well, that'll help with him balancing with people like Scottie and Pascal because he understands his role to a degree. He also understands how he can increase his role and be a hero at times also to take over and help us. But for the most part, that's not where he wants to be. He wants to be the guy feeding LeBron. He wants to be the guy feeding Scottie. So that's one of the things that some people may be worried about Dennis and his impact. The Scottie lovers may be really worried about Dennis and how they're going to interact. But also, let's point to the whole fact that Dennis has a body of work working alongside LeBron James, and LeBron very much loves playing with Dennis. So if LeBron loves playing with Dennis, why wouldn't Scottie? Is maybe the logic there? I mean, if LeBron can get along and love playing with Dennis, we know he's thrown people away from the Lakers left and right over the years, saying, I don't want this guy on my team anymore. I don't want this guy on my team. They take him off. But Dennis is somebody he's valued and wanted to keep. I think Scotty's going to be very happy playing with Dennis. In some ways, these guys know Dennis's reputation. And that's why Jakob Perl's saying, I'm not really scared about Fred leaving because we got Dennis Schroeder now. And in some ways, that's an upgrade. So I think that's a lot of it right there. Yeah, a lot of it right there. All right, let's see. Seymour saying, one Canadian to another. Love the backdrop. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, this is obviously central Ontario. It's not North Ontario because I know there's a huge part of Ontario that's very, very north, but it's somewhere in between Toronto and Timmins, somewhere in there. But yeah, the natural landscape. We've had lots of blue jays back here. You see my little cigar shrub back here. This was a tree that we chopped down. It had woodpeckers pecking in it, but now this summer we chopped it down and it's coming up in a shrub. And it's kind of cool. Cigar shrub. That's our victory cigar shrub for Canada yesterday. That's right. Yeah. Trevor J saying, the U.S. is going to send their best players, so we should too. Yeah, but in some ways, that's not the way you win. The best players, all the best players on the team, like the Dream Team, the original one, 1992, Barcelona, that's the special case. In some ways, those guys were special players of that era. And today's egomaniacal superstars cannot be on a team together like that. You could not take the best American players. Who would that team be? Think about it. If you really, really took the best American players in the NBA right now, what would that team look like? Seriously, Trevor, think about it. Would be LeBron, Kevin Durant, James Harden. Just think about what that team would be like with the egos and the infighting. That's why they go for these youngsters that are on the rise, and they don't get all the old heads like Kyrie and Kevin and all them. They had their time before. They played on the team and did their stuff. They got their medals. Well, they want to bring the next crop up, and that's not necessarily the best American players. That's not their best team. A lot of people are critical of the team they picked, that they think it's kind of mid, that they could have done way better. In some ways, you want a team that fits and has different roles to sum up to the winning. And if you have too many of the same part in the car, well, the car's not going to run. You could have the hottest, baddest engine of SGA and Jamal and Andrew Wiggins and Shaden Sharp and Ben Mathurin and all these guys. But now you have 5 engines. You can only put one engine in the car. You need the tires. You need the headlights. You need the horn. You need the seats. You need all the different parts of the car that interact with each other to make the car go. If you have 5 engines, you have too many engines. You got to put the engines in the car and the car seats, and those engines won't even get to drive the car because they're just sitting in the back seat. So in some ways, I don't like getting the absolute best for Olympic teams. I think it's smart to get role players and kind of have a mix. And Canada's team's more built like that than US's team at this point right now. So I like it. Yeah, Dana's laughing about it. Yeah, I like that. Monique saying, I can't wait to see that edge of Dennis this season with us. You can't touch me like that. Germany coach is an idiot. In some ways, Herbert is doing a good job. He made a mistake in the moment. And yeah, he shouldn't have put his hands on him. But I think he's done a really good job. Honestly, he's been a very good coach. And I know why some people will be mad at him, but there's no reason to do that. He was trying to save his team from getting mad at each other. He did not realize Tice and Dennis had a very close relationship that is built on some of this kind of conflict. So he misread the situation. He was trying to be a peacekeeper, maybe went about it the wrong way. Once again, these clips are always taken out of context because we don't see like the 2 minutes before. We always see the convenient part that's just this. Like the boat thing that happened at the boat dock. Some people were just showing them beating up the idiots that were on the boat at the Montgomery boat dock. And well, you need the whole time. Like you need to see them going after the security guard. And in some ways, that's part of the problem with this situation is y'all are only seeing the part with him and Dennis. You're not seeing the part with Dennis and Daniel. And that gives the full context to the whole thing. Seymour saying, no, they sell the Team Canada jersey at the Bay. Do they sell it? I don't think so. This is another thing where we're seeing a blind side, a weak spot with Team Canada promotion. Besides Rogers dropping the ball and putting this on blast and getting more people involved and looking at it, we don't have any apparel for SGA and Team Canada. People are demanding SGA number 2 Team Canada jerseys right now, and there's nowhere to get these. There's nowhere to get this kind of stuff. And it's so stupid. People like making money. You idiots. Why can't you figure out how to make money when people are going to throw money at you for SGA Team Canada jerseys. But you idiots, you can't figure it out, or you're trying to stymie basketball in Canada so that you don't sell any Team Canada basketball jerseys. It's messed up. Y'all should have had them ready to roll out. But y'all are behind. You're idiots. You're not going to be able to catch this wave of enthusiasm. Casey Bannerman has a beautiful SGA number 2 jersey that he made, and he's already reaching out to Nike right now. He's saying, hey, Nike, let me get on board. Look at this beauty I've designed right here. Maybe you could make some money off this with me. And I don't know. I don't know why Nike doesn't like Casey Bannerman. Y'all need to get with Casey Bannerman. I'm serious. At least Nike Canada. Forget about the States and start making some of his stuff. He's a very, very good designer. If you've seen that red sequined Grady Dick jersey he did earlier this summer, some of the other work he's done, he did an amazing jersey for Jamal Murray around championship. Yeah, you guys are idiots if you wouldn't partner up with a talented young designer like Casey Bannerman. He's making amazing stuff. And Nike, you're losing money on the table, you idiots, from that. Yeah, they need to get these jerseys in the stores and let these people buy them. I'm sorry. They would be very hot right now. They are not at the Bay, Seymour, and it'd be very hard to find an SGA jersey unless you make it yourself or something like that. Seymour saying, I'm not from Saga, but I need a Brooks jersey ASAP. Yeah, Scarborough to Calgary. That's right. He's on the east side of Toronto, not on the west side like RJ and Dylan, but he can represent and respect the Saga City and the swagger that it brought to Jakarta yesterday. That's right. Yeah, you want a Brooks jersey. See, where's the Brooks jersey? Team Canada, apparel makers, money makers, greedy motherfuckers. Y'all could be making a mint right now, but you're sleeping on it. Sleeping at 9:30 when you should be up watching Canada. Damn, what a shame. What a shame. Yeah. Monique is saying the celebration in the locker room was too nice. Did you see it? Go Canada. I actually didn't see the footage of them celebrating in there because I don't want to see them celebrate because they ain't done. They can go ahead and celebrate getting Olympics, but they're not done. I don't want to see no celebrations until we win the gold, Monique, and I'll wait till then. So I don't know. I didn't see any celebrations. I just saw them talking to Arash and talking about what their opinions. And I didn't see anything in the locker room. Maybe I'll find that footage today. We'll see. Stargate is here. Good to see Stargate in the house. Dylan and Daniel and Dennis have known each other for like 20 years. This is nothing. Yeah, it's nothing. In some ways, he just wants kicking him in the butt and verbally telling him, get your ass going, Tice. What are you doing out there? Fiercely saying, thank you for clarifying what transpired between Dennis Tice and the coach. We all know Daniel Tice has a punchable face, punchable tattoos, old German fake-ass Birdman. Yeah, he annoys me. Listen, I have respect for Germany, and I like Germany as far as the team with Dennis leading it. And I even kind of like the Wagner, well, not Mo. I like Franz Wagner, but I don't like Mortiz. I hate him. He's just like Tice to me. They're two big German goons. So I hate Daniel Tice. And if Dennis was cussing out Daniel, go ahead, cuss him out, that idiot big goof. Yeah, he's a goon. I've always hated Daniel Tice, and that will never change. In some ways, Kelly Olynyk was like Daniel Tice to me until this run that's going on right now. I hated Kelly Olynyk, just like I hate Daniel Tice for very similar reasons. Playing for Boston, playing for Miami, being big, ugly goons that hurt our players, fouling people, hitting people hard, playing dirty. Yeah, that's why I don't like Tice. That's why I didn't like Olynyk. But I like Olynyk now because Captain Canada, being the captain of our team, has done very good in this FIBA World Cup. But I didn't like Kelly Olynyk 2 months ago, just so y'all know. I really didn't. I hated him. I honestly did. And it really is because of hits on Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan from like Goran Dragic, Miami Heat teams back in the day. Yeah, that stuff from Kelly Olynyk. Oh, I hate him so much. All right, let's see. Alan Tam is the guy who's purporting the All-NBA Team Canada team. I like it, Alan, in some ways, but I've already talked about this in some ways, and I don't like it in some ways. He's saying the roster in the Olympics should be SGA, Jamal, Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Olynyk, Dylan Brooks, Dwight Powell, Lou Dort, RJ Barrett, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Corey Joseph, O'Shea Brissett, Ben Mathurin, Andrew Nebhard, Brandon Clark, Shaedon Sharp, Delano Banton, Trey Lyles, Leonard Miller, Chris Boucher, and Kem Burge. First of all, that's way too many people. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's 20 players. We only get 12. And once again, we don't want all NBA on our team. I've already talked extensively about this earlier in the chat. So please, Alan, start from the beginning. You can hear my reasoning for why this isn't a good idea. And once again, there's way too many names on that list. Way too many names. I've talked realistically about what you can expect with this. You can maybe expect Jamal Murray to show up and be a new name for the Olympics next year. Maybe Wiggins. But the rest of those guys, don't expect any of the rest of them to show up. Maybe Corey Joseph and Brissett, because they've also been a part of the program, and they may be healthy around this time next year. So we could see Corey Joseph on the Olympic team, and we could see O'Shea Brissett also. But the rest of those guys, Maturin, Nemhard, Clark, Sharp, Banton, Lyles, Miller, Boucher, and Birch is retired, y'all. Ken Birch is retired. You're not gonna see him play in the NBA this year. He's done. His body just can't play anymore. So give up on Birch. And I'm just saying, this is the realistic stuff, Alan Tam. I like your idea to an extent, but also at the same time, we got to be realistic and we got to reward the guys who got us here. And we can't just cut them for NBA guys. We can't. Fiercely saying, hey, Mo, where can we watch the celebration? Yeah, I didn't catch that. Guardian Transit saying, tell you Raps sure could use Dylan Brooks. Well, we'll have to see. Dennis Schroeder, in some ways, could be part of what Dylan Brooks gives us this year, as far as that fieriness and that really like intense kind of like we need to be at a high level, like playing and always at way our conduct our business. You know, in some ways, Dennis is a healthier version of Dylan Brooks in some ways for that kind of catalyst. So we'll have to see Schroeder's impact on our team. Maybe in some ways, some of the stuff we could have got from Brooks. But obviously, Brooks just signed a big payday. He's getting the same contract as Jakob Poeltl for Houston. And in some ways, we can't pay him that much. Houston Rockets, once again, has overpaid for Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks. Good for them. I'm glad they're getting paid major money, but they're getting overpaid. Trust me. And we don't want to be the ones overpaying them like them at this point. There you go. Alan Tam saying, bam, son. Dang, silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids. You know, if I talk about rabbits too much, there may be one hopping around behind me real quick. There have been rabbits in the yard in the last week or so. So, yeah, I might see a silly rabbit looking for some cereal out in the yard. He may tell me, why'd you dump this cereal out here? Oh, it's because it's tricks, and it's for me and not for you, kids. Yeah, silly rabbit. Tricks are for kids. Wayne Schreiner saying those. Okay, you were just clarifying. Dana saying, I was laughing at your crazy ex story. Yeah, I have really weird stories from my past, whether they're involving me and weird stuff that I did or relationships I've had. Yeah. My girlfriend wanted to be Bray Wyatt all of a sudden. I took her to a WWE wrestling match in Tallahassee. She was a Florida girl, and she really loved that Bray Wyatt group, the creepiest group. I don't even remember what they're called. The family, the Bray Wyatt family. Yeah, with Luke Harper and the big dude too, and the weird rabbit sheep's head or whatever they were wearing. That stuff with the lantern. Yeah. Very, very creepy times at that time. Let me just say, that was a very dangerous, weird relationship I was in. It was abusive and it was dangerous. Let's just put it that way. Let's see. Monique is saying Canada Basketball IG and FIBA IG. Okay, so it's on Canada Basketball's Instagram. All right, there we go. Stargate saying LeBron, KD, Curry, Harden, AD, Booker, Paul George, Kawhi, possibly Trey, possibly Donovan Mitchell. He's naming all the people if they put a full USA team with the top players. That's what I'm saying. In some ways, they would be too overpoweringly good. That's part of it. Like if USA really put their absolute best players out there, they probably would kick everybody's ass over like the moon. If LeBron was there with Steph and all that. And James, they wouldn't want James to be there. We know James is going to be a problem. And Alan Tam's thumbs downing what I'm saying. I'm sorry, man. It's just how it's got to be. Roland Barrett, Sr., he's in charge. He'll make the decisions about who's on Team Canada. We can't fit all the Canadians on there. We have too many good Canadians in the league now. We're gone from the days of Bill Wennington and Rick Fox, our Canadian NBA players, to now this, where we've got like 30 NBA players and we have different people to pick from. So it is what it is. I'm sorry, Alan. It's just we've got to make room for Melvin Ejim. I'm sorry. Stargate saying Nike Canada is in the pockets of Hockey Canada, which is historically anti-basketball, so I'm not surprised. There you go. Boom, boom, truth bomb right there. Stargate hitting it, and that totally makes total sense. I'm going to tell you right now, Canada not capitalizing on the fervor and enthusiasm of team basketball right now is very much the enemy is hockey, and they are the reason why the success of Team Canada's team is going to be poo-pooed and ignored by certain people just because the sport is basketball. And I hate that so much. Stargate, you're probably exactly right about the problems with Nike Canada. You're probably exactly right. Country Conk saying punchable tattoos made me laugh. Yeah, listen, Chris Anderson, the Birdman, he was kind of a weirdo, and I liked him because he was a really good dunker, and he had crazy mohawk, and he played for the Nuggets, and then he played for the Heat. I didn't like him when he played for the Heat, and he was kind of a goon in some ways, but he had entertainment to him also. He was also a very outspoken cannabis smoker before it was illegal in the NBA, and he was getting in trouble for it. So in some ways, Chris Anderson can be looked at, Allen Iverson, as being a rebel in the league at the time. He didn't really fit in, and he changed the league. In some ways, he was one of the people that helped change the feelings about cannabis around the sport change in some ways. As Iverson changed style with his cornrows and his tattoos, and he was inspirational for opening the door for that for NBA players to a degree. Chris Anderson was a part of that also. And in some ways, he was a part of opening the door for cannabis. So and that's part of the reason why I like the Birdman, because he was like an open weed smoker, and he got in trouble for it too. He got suspended a lot for it, but he was fighting that fight at that time, and that's pretty good. Trevor J's got the cutoff going. Let's go. He's got Masai. He's got Darko. He's got Pascal. He's got OG. He's got Jakob. He's got Scotty. He's got Mo, and he's got me. It looks like we got switched back to the Raptor emotes from the Team Canada emotes all of a sudden. It's Tom Dukes making those changes in the middle of the night. He's the emoji fairy, and he's changing them at night. I don't know what he's doing. Fiercely saying, so sad for Kem Birch. In some ways, let's think about this. Kem is getting older, and in some ways, his body's been beat up. He has had a really interesting NBA journey. He didn't get drafted. He had to go overseas and bust his butt in his young career to make it back to the NBA. And then he got on the Orlando Magic. And he was playing on the Orlando Magic as the second center next to Nikola Vucevic. And, he was very good for the Magic. He made his career. He didn't have it all rolled out for him. It wasn't like a golden carpet, like, oh, you're a top pick. We love you. Come in. No, he had to fight his way into the league. And in some ways, Kem Birch's success of staying in the league for how long he did is a testament of success. And in some ways, it's sad, sure. But injuries do this to players all the time. They cut their careers short. And that's sad in itself. But also, we could celebrate the extremely successful professional basketball career of Kem Birch also at the same time without feeling sorry for him. If you went and asked him, he'd be like, you know what, man, I've lived a blessed, charmed life. He wouldn't be having any disdain or upsetness because in some ways, he got to achieve his dream. And you know what it was? He was a little kid. He wanted to play for the Toronto Raptors, and he made it. He made it. I mean, how many of us get to say that we get to live our dreams? That he got to go and play for the Toronto Raptors, a team he rooted for as a kid. And that's part of the reason why I love Kem so much, because he's a Canadian kid that loved the Raptors when they came out and was a big fan of them. And that his dream was to play for them, and he made it come true. He came around and he did play for us. So I love Kem, and you know what? In some ways, I feel sad for him, but it's just a natural thing. And if he can get relief for his knees, and he can feel better and feel more happy and healthy physically, I'll be much more happier for him then. If he's going to continue to destroy his knees and he's going to have a harder time in his later life, then I don't want him to continue playing. It is really like that. But he's currently still on San Antonio. I'm not totally sure if they waived him and he's absolutely done, but all signs point to this, that he is not going to be playing this year. It's all signs point to this. Seymour saying, salute Birch, Raptor for life. Yeah, we love Kem Birch up here. We celebrate him. We don't put him down. And we really do understand the type of player he is. This is, once again, a steak player, not a sizzle player. And people that like sizzle will put him down and say, oh, he sucks and all this stuff. But people that understand steak, they respect him and they really honor him. And that's the difference right there. I'm fiercely saying thank you to Mo for telling where the celebration was, and salute to Kem Birch. Yeah, thank you, CC, for the super chat. Very nice. David Saborin's got the cup. All right, he is signaling to this. All right, y'all, let me real quick give you guys an update on our WNBA Fantasy League. We had a very important round finish yesterday. David Saborin has defeated me in the semifinals of our WNBA Fantasy League to get the chance to be in the finals against MK. So MK versus David in the finals of our WNBA Fantasy League starts today. And the champion of the league will either be MK or David. And whoever wins will get the Nick Nurse whistle from the coach's open house last year that I got. My last gift from Nick Nurse before he left is the coach's whistle. So if you want the coveted Raptors Nick Nurse coach's whistle, it's either going to be MK or David that's going to win it. And meanwhile, Monique, you and I for third place. We're playing for third place. So Mo, if you beat me, you get the third place trophy. If I win, I get the third place trophy. So we're still playing for something. And congratulations to David Saborin for beating me yesterday in a very close. It was a pretty close week, pretty close. And going on to the finals against Meredith. That's going to be a fantastic battle. MK's a really, really tough opponent. And it's going to be really fun to see David and MK battle this week in the WNBA Fantasy Finals. Yeah, if you have a team in it, you can still play and get your stuff matters. As I said, Monique is for third place. So you want to beat me, Superfan? Monique Lawrence, the greatest, for third place? This is the week to do it. Let's go. Kyle Haslett's here. Good to see another new name in the chat. 9:30 a.m. every morning. We're talking Raptors, Team Canada, NBA, basketball in Canada in general. Being a top round pick makes some players too comfortable, then don't know how to deal with it when things get tough. Yeah, I won't disagree with this. In some ways, high level draft picks are cozy, because they have really easy times in high school and sometimes in college too, where it's like the competition is not anywhere near their level and they can cruise and they can be very, very good and do very well. But it's because they're at very low levels of competition. When they get the NBA, everybody's very good and it's not as easy. And sometimes that's where you root out the difference between a hardworking guy that's really, really good and a hardworking guy or a guy that's really good that doesn't work hard. And this is so true, Kyle. In some ways, the prep system of basketball, it makes it even more cushier and insulated. And they really, really kiss their ass. And Brown knows these kids and tell them, oh, you're so good. You're so good. You can be so good. They don't get a reality check. And then sometimes they get their first reality check when they get to the NBA and they're like, holy crap. And sometimes they don't deal with it very well. So this stuff is very important, Kyle. You're exactly right. In some ways, you don't want to coddle young basketball prospects because in some ways you could hurt them growing or their confidence, because when they hit something that's hard, they don't know how to deal with it. Really good point. Kyle's saying that's why I love players that show me what they're worth, not just what the draft boards say. Yeah, that's what we see. We want to see the results on the court. We still want to see the proof in the pudding as far as you go ahead and tell me what you are. Tell me all the hype in the world. I don't care. Until I see results on the court, I'm not going to believe in you. And I'm really the same way. There's all kinds of draft hype about different players coming up. And in some ways, they don't ever become anything in the NBA. You wonder why. Where's that disconnect? Well, it's a lot of hot air and propping up of those people verbally. And when the realistic stuff on the court doesn't add up to what they said. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. Kyle's saying, look at what basketball did to Dirk's knees. Yeah. Playing any kind of physical activity like wrestling or basketball or football, you're going to get injuries. They're going to last your lifetime, and you can destroy your knees real, real quick. Talk to MLB catchers about their knees later in life. And yeah, it's an unfortunate sacrifice that these guys make for the glory in the competition of playing at the highest level in professional sports. Yeah. All right, let's go to the Instagram stories real quick. We'll start with our guy, Isaac Bonga, who's showing a background view of the German team in their workouts in the weight room. We see Mortiz doing a step up with the dumbbells. He's kind of annoying. I really don't like Mo Wagner. And then there's a really cool picture of Isaac with Yuta Watanabe and saying, good luck in the Philippines. Good looks, my guy. And very proud of Yuta and Team Japan making their berth to France for the Olympics next year. And of course, Yuta, in turn, proud of his old Raptors teammate, Isaac Bonga, for Germany's success at FIBA World Cup, being undefeated so far. So both winners, both former Raptors bench guys, Yuta Watanabe and Isaac Bonga, very proud to see them. Their friendship has lasted. and that they're very happy to see each other as old teammates on the Raptors. Very, very cool to see that kind of stuff. I always enjoy that stuff immensely. Yeah, and I see it on Yuta's page also. All right, Slim Duck is at his favorite place to be in the summer, guys. I think he's in St. Lucia. Actually, I think that is where he goes. He's somewhere in the islands, and it's always this time of year that we see Chris Boucher kind of retreat to that right before the season. He goes down there and he rides around on jet skis and he does Undertaker choke slams into the water of the pool outside. But it is a very pristine, beautiful landscape that he's showing us on his Instagram stories where he is right now. He's definitely, I think he's back home. I think he does go to St. Lucia or an island nearby, and he really does recharge there. And I think his family's there also when he goes there. So that's why I think it's there. He has a post that says, "What's the secret?" And he says, "I just do stuff and make it cool as a motherfucker." That's what the secret is. Just do stuff and make it look cool, according to Chris. And there it is. Like I said, Chris was putting on blast 2024 Summer Olympics qualified Dylan Brooks, Lou Dort, SGA, RJ Barrett, Kelly Olynyk on Slim Duck's Instagram stories. Proud of Canada's achievement and accomplishment yesterday. Chris Boucher's not a hater. He's not upset that he's not a part of it. He's putting on blast and celebrating with the rest of us. So there you go. I love that about him. Gary Trent Jr. is putting his dad on blast. Gary Trent Sr. took a Instagram story yesterday with his chain, his diamond cross and his ring, and he's sitting in the sunshine letting it glint. This shiny, shiny jewelry, and his son thinks it's hilarious. So he's putting it on blast. Gary Trent Jr. posting Gary Trent Sr. showing off his bling in the sunshine. And that's hilarious. And then also Gary Trent Jr., of course, putting on blast the African American Wellness Run and all the events that they're doing. Once again, if you are in your middle age, like me, black or white, but especially black people, get your health checked and go see the doctor often, get your prostate, do all that kind of stuff that they normally do to have good health. That's what the message is with that agency that he's working with. Ron Harper Jr. at a football game this weekend. There's a lot of college football this weekend. A lot of interesting stuff happening. Deion Sanders and Florida State winning yesterday against LSU. Very, very proud of my alma mater. The Seminoles winning their first college football game. And Ron Harper was at a Rutgers football game, it looks like. So he's celebrating his alma mater by going to a Rutgers football game. P. Skills is in a plane flying, I'm guessing coming back from Cameroon, and he's taking very scenic, beautiful pictures out the window of the plane, of the mountainside. I'm guessing that's over in Africa. Lots of very beautiful artistic pictures by Siakam of clouds and mountains. There's a nice old car that he's taking a picture of. I guess that may be back here in North America. And then we see him with a Louis Vuitton bag walking through a very nice corridor. And yeah, just different artistic pictures. There's some stained glass Pascal found. He took a picture of on a staircase. Just a very beautiful lobby with some wine bottles over it. All kinds of pictures of wine bottles. Him and Precious are like the most artistic dudes this summer. The pictures that Pascal and Precious take on their Instagram are like really, really, really artistic. Really, really good stuff. We see Mr. New York City, Marquise Noel, in a black and white picture sitting with the camera in front of him. So obviously he's doing some sort of interview recently. And then, of course, Matt Devlin, he's still getting golf cart rides for the Blue Jays, riding around, calling the Blue Jays game. His call is really good for baseball also. We know his excited voice really helps with the basketball call for the Raptors, but him calling Blue Jays games actually really, really good too. I was checking out some of what he was saying during the game, and Matt Devlin's enthusiasm and his call as a play-by-play announcer, it just fits anything. I'm sure he could call any kind of sport and make it exciting and fun. And he's definitely good for baseball broadcasts, just as much as basketball. Thad Young, once again, he's got a little shimmy on his Instagram stories right now where he's doing a little dance. That's pretty funny. And then Monique putting on blast. Canada qualifying for the Olympics. RJ doing the gritty after the game. So happy to see RJ doing the gritty. And then there's a really awesome picture of Monique with Rowan Barrett Sr. from years ago, back in 2017. Her celebrating happy time. So proud of Rowan Barrett Sr. and his direction of Team Canada and where they've gotten to with their accomplishments. So cool to see the picture of Mo with Rowan Barrett Sr. So go follow Superfan Official, and she will show you all of her interesting, crazy pictures she's had with different Raptors and Team Canada people over the years. Monique has quite the collection of pictures of old Raptors with her. It's amazing, honestly. Sometimes I get so shocked to see who she's been with in pictures. It's been awesome. DeMar DeRozan has a really crazy quote from this old man saying, "You've got to embrace the pain to get better. The pain will happen. Pain is just part of it. Make it part of you and embrace it," is what he's saying. Juancho, very much showing a picture of him and his brother after the game yesterday. He's holding his brother's head and praising him. We know Willie was big in the game yesterday. Juancho not as big, but he was still present and doing good things out there. But yeah, in the defeat, there's honor and there is also respect. So respect to the Hernan Gomez brothers and the effort that they put out there for Team Spain yesterday. Much respect from this Canada fan. And as Dennis, as I said, Dennis Schroeder is funny. He's got his picture of him. Yes, he's back. He's a warrior, he's a fighter, a soldier, and all that. That's his wife saying that about Dennis Schroeder. He is a warrior. He's a fighter. He's a soldier. There you go. And he's got him and Tice on the bench, and he's hugging him. And it says brothers for life. And Tice is reposting it too. So there's no bad beef between those two. That's just the way they interact and get each other fired up, yelling at each other. So there you go. Nice highlights of Dennis on his Instagram stories. That nice little take there. Really, really good stuff by them. And then he's even putting on blast SGA. Dennis very proud of his former Oklahoma City Thunder teammate, SGA, for beating Spain yesterday and putting Canada's victory on blast in his Instagram stories also. That's fantastic. You know, I love seeing that. Like, he's very proud of Canada, even though he's probably going to have to play us possibly. He's still got it. And also, he's really proud of his son, Junior, who was in the crowd yelling and screaming as Germany won their game yesterday. And Dennis is saying he got that from me. Mini me. He's calling his son Junior in the stands, yelling with intensity. He's just like him. Yeah, that mood. He's like yelling in his little Nirvana shirt. You go, Junior Schroeder. You're going to make me forget Fred VanVleet Jr. at some point. You're going to make me forget the youngster of Fred VanVleet Jr. now that we got Junior Schroeder. That's awesome. So, yeah, and also Dennis is showing the German team on the bus on the way to Manila. Like I said, they had to change positions from Japan to Manila, and that's where a lot of these teams are going. There's a nice picture of him with his son, Junior, and they're holding up some sort of medals or something. I don't know what those are. And he's in there on the exercise bike 5 hours ago. Dennis working out 5 hours ago on the exercise bike. And he's walking into the arena in Manila, and he's saying this is special, and he feels very grateful to be this far in the FIBA World Cup now, to be coming to this next stage, the quarterfinals in Manila. So Dennis very much has gratitude for the place that Germany has gotten to and accomplished. Very much. And then he's got a picture of Cristiano Ronaldo, who's doing his freeze, and he's telling him, if you're going to do that, you better tag me, Ronaldo, if you're going to do the freeze, because that's my move, bro. There you go. There's your Raptors Instagram check. Pretty quiet from Scotty and some of the other guys, but, you know, Pascal and Dennis are very active on Instagram still. All right, let's see. Dana's saying, have a good Labor Day, everyone. See you tomorrow. And Isaac's got the basketball, the cup, and the world. I love seeing that, Isaac. That's so awesome. Let me just wrap it up then. Yeah, y'all are, this is a natural time to wrap it up. I want to just make sure I didn't forget anything. Yeah, like I said, Franz Wagner is back out there putting shots up, and he's training. So Germany may get reinforcements back real quick, and he's going to be fresh. So we'll have to see if Franz is able to play in these quarterfinals. This will be a huge boost for Germany and helping them win this World Cup. So yeah, it's not necessarily something we want to see, Franz being back. No, it's not. And yeah, once again, if you guys want to join the Raptor Freak channel, you can join as a member, and you get access to our Facebook group where Monique, Trevor, Isaac, myself, and a lot of other people are posting constant Team Canada and Raptor stuff on there, so you can stay totally up to date on the good, interesting things that are happening with the FIBA World Cup and the Toronto Raptors on a daily basis. So if you want to join, it's only $4.99 a month to be a member of the Raptor Freak channel, and you get some membership perks. Trust me, there's going to be all kinds of interesting perks this season we're coming up with. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, definitely check your WNBA fantasy teams if you are David or MK. And Monique, that's right. We want to have a good battle this week, Monique, Superfan Lawrence. It's the Raptor Freak Lex versus Mo in the third place game. So that's an important one too. All right, Mo, W Stream Lex, go Canada, go Raptors. Thank you, Monique. Y'all, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Raptors Freaks out there, positive Raptor fans that want to cheer this team on and are sick of the toxic noise, the trade rumors, the bullshit, the hating of Masai, the hating of our coach, the hating of our players. Are you even Raptors fans if you hate the Raptors so much? That's not what we do here. We're a sanctuary for people that really do love the Raptors and want to see them be successful, getting many world championships. Well, I should say NBA championships in the future. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me. Go Toronto Raptors. Happy Labor Day. Go Darko Rajakovic. Go Jordi Fernandez. Go Team Canada. Let's got some unfinished business still to take care of. And Slovenia, Luka Doncic, you're next. Yeah, come on up to the plate and take a little swing at Canada and see if you're getting any success. I don't know if you will. We'll have to see how it goes. Luka Doncic, SGA, Wednesday morning, 9:30 a.m. Watch along on this channel. And then tomorrow, Tuesday trivia, 9:30 a.m. So if you want to do some Raptors trivia, we'll be doing that tomorrow, and there are prizes to it. All right, y'all. Let's go Canada. Woo! Woo!